Yeah, baby. Sure. There you go. Right, here's the setup. Got the backup paddle, 3 trusty fishing poles, fishing bag, and a box. Got the little cage to keep fish if we need to, and trolling motor. This is about an 80-acre fishing lake in Texas. So my first tip for this year is, in the winter time, I have good luck with anything with red flake in it. Here I've got a little pink jig and it's got some red flakes in it. It did really well, caught me 3 or 4 bass, and I definitely recommend it. Let me know how it does for y'all. So after that, we changed it up, and that's advice number 2, is don't be afraid to make some changes. The pink one worked really well up until it didn't, so just make those changes, throw on a new lure, throw on a new jig, whatever you're throwing, and just keep making those changes, because bass are not always going to bite the same thing over and over and over. And here's a closer look at that second jig that I was throwing. The red flakes really don't show up on video that well. And lastly, we're going to change up between fast and slow on reeling it in, and top and bottom, middle of the water. Just keep changing what you're doing, because there's bass everywhere. So the first couple I caught reeling in slow and bouncing that bait off the bottom. This one I caught reeling in fast, and that just is a change up that needs to happen. When you're bouncing that bait off the bottom, you want it to look something like this, and you want it to just bounce up and down with the tail kind of flicking the bottom, stirring up a little dust, and that should get you some nice bass. Alright, we'll see you later, bass. We're going to move on to some crappie. So most people know with crappie you want to switch to a smaller jig and a smaller hook. You may have some luck with some of these bigger jigs every now and then on a monster crappie, but for the most part, if you want to catch that keeper size, you want to switch to a smaller jig. And this time of year I use a whole lot of green and a whole lot of orange. So that's advice number 1, green and orange. Let me know how they do for you. So we caught this first one, and then we caught a couple more, and then we caught this one, all within about 20-foot radius of each other. So that's advice number 2. Stick to the same area for a little while, keep throwing those jigs, and you'll keep catching some crappie. And lastly, crappie go at different depths. There's some on top, some on the bottom. There's no telling where they're schooling. They're following fluid around, so keep going up and down, slow and fast, just like you would with bass. Figure out what works. Okay, so to find some good bass and some crappie, you're gonna start by a shoreline. You're gonna start casting one way, and then you can cast the other way, back and forth. You're also gonna wanna start casting towards the shore and just cover all your bases. Keep looking for those bass, keep trying new lures, all that stuff, and just continually work that shoreline. You may find some crappie, you may find some real small bass that are going to be trying to take your bait, but keep working at it. Then the crappie, you're going to basically do the opposite. You're going to go the opposite direction, work into that deeper water, and you're going to keep working back and forth. And you can do this at the same time. That's what I would recommend, is you'd want to really be doing all this at once. So just go real slow along that shoreline and hit every single direction. Crappie will be in that deep water, bass should be more shallow.